All right, lads and lasses, welcome along. Dataset 7, video 4. It's looking cracking this, like. So if you remember, Dataset 4 was looking at loans, and it was like the loan application process that we were looking at. And the point of it was to be able to put in the process mining toolkit and actually see what happened. Now, the initial one worked really well. I was very impressed with it, really happy. Showed us exactly what we wanted it to show us. But what's happened as well is the second company have kind of come forward and sort of, well, this is what we offer. Would you mind having a look? So I've had a look, and I thought we can compare and contrast and see the two together. What I don't want to do is a review. That's definitely not the sort of thing that's in my mind to do. The important thing in my mind is that the process mining toolkits that are available now, there are two very good, very efficient versions that are available at a free price point. And that's going to help for a business to really get started and understand actually what process mining is, how can process mining benefit, which is, ultimately that was the point of doing this video series, really, is get you to be able to see, if I look at process mining, is it something that's going to benefit us? And then saying, well, I've got these really high-end tools that are available to us on the market, like high-end, like 100,000 plus dollars, pounds, whatever, high-end tools that are available on the market. Or we've got these other tools that are available. And there is a trade-off, definitely, because you've got one which is, well, the dedicated tools are exactly that, they're dedicated tools, versus having something that's actually embedded within Power BI. And I think as you start to go through and review, what does that actually mean for what as a business? It's important, because the traditional way of doing process mining is like you get some consultancy in, or you get your dedicated process mining team, if you've got that in the business, and they'll analyze the data and they'll say, here's the data at this point. And from there, you kind of work out what you're going to do. And then it all goes quiet for 3 to 6 months. And then you'll come back and review your findings. And so there's kind of a built-in gap. Whereas if you've embedded that within Power BI, not only is it now not something that requires specialist support and anything to really do, saying that, put himself out of work. Yeah, like Geordie Consultant, of course, we will help you do your process mining. The main thing for us is about, we'll help you build that mindset and that methodology to get you started. We're also quite happy to do the other side of it, which is often having that third party just look, somebody who's not embedded in the data, because that's the risk that this method will bring to you, is that the people who are looking at it are the people who are looking at the data all the time, and they see things potentially in quite in their way, shall we say. That's probably the least impolite way of saying it. And you get locked into your view of the world, don't you? You kind of like, this is how the world is, this is how I see it. No wrong with it, that's normal. And that's where, a company like Geordie Intelligence, Geordie Consultant, we can really help you by being that, we can be like that gadget down the street, oh, pal, what do you reckon of this? And we're looking and going, oh, you did that? Really? Why did you do that? Doesn't look right. So we can bring more experience and help you. But the main thing of this is, I want you to see that there are tools out there that are really powerful and that are going to really help you to actually get to that next step within your business. And it's not going to break the bank. And because it's embedded in Power BI, you're not restricted in who can access it. You're not having to say, oh, well, in this case, it's only going to be the senior managers who get to see it. Everyone can look at it. And then when everyone's looking at this stuff, you get to that point where everyone understands what's going on. And because everyone understands what's going on, or why it's going on in that way, you have a much more successful business. You've got that engagement. People aren't just rocking up to get the paycheck, is it? It's not coming and going, all right, boss, give us me money. Cheers, bye. It's like, oh, business is great. Oh, I'm really enjoying it. It's really good. I remember I was told, and told about something Amazon were doing. I don't know if they're still doing it. I don't know if they're doing it over in the UK. No, it's something in the US early on in their days. And they were offering people up to $5,000 to quit. And why would you offer people money to leave, right? And it comes about when you realize that you've got a good culture. If your culture is all about being, we're part of a culture, we're this, we're that, which is kind of what every business is trying to tell us they want to do nowadays, isn't it? Oh, we've got this really good culture, we're blah, blah, blah. Offer your staff $5,000 to leave. If they leave, chances are you didn't have that culture. And that was what Amazon were getting at. So they were finding that they would rather people who were just rocking up for the paycheck, who were kind of starting to get that disenfranchised view, looking at, I'm sick of this job. I just wish I was out, but I've got bills to pay. That $5,000 can go a long way towards helping. So it's kind of, there's method in that madness. So embedding these tools really helps you to build that culture. So let's get back onto it, yeah? So the main thing we did with the process mining with PAFnow, video 3, right? Really good. They've got a free layer and they've got a paid layer. The free layer, I think, gives a really good starting point, and it's ideal for any business. The paid layer, I think, it's a paid layer. So you're going to get more. You're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get out and actually you can really start to get to that next stage. As I said, in the past engagements I've had with them, we did have an issue as we were looking at larger scale customers, that they had a licensing tier, which was like professional. And that then becomes a problem if it's like, well, these people are just consumers. So I think in case of larger companies, if you've gone down the enterprise route of either embedded Power BI or Power BI Premium, it can be difficult, because if you're saying, well, I've now got 100,000 people who can look at this report, I don't want to be paying 100,000 licenses for anything. I don't care if that's $1 or even a cent. I ain't paying it. So it kind of, that was the issue we had with them. I don't know if it's changed. I don't know if they've recognized that. I don't know if they've got more, but it was, eyes open. If you're going into an engagement with them, make sure you ask that question. All right. Obviously, I'm not getting paid for these. Neither of these companies are actually giving me out, so I can be as nice and as horrible as I want. But no. PAFnow, really impressed with them. Really like them. Actually, all the engagements I've had with the company, everything I've talked about with them has been really positive. They are a company that I think is going to go for places. The late addition that came through, I have to say, it's a company called Process.Science. They seem to be just starting out, and that's so really kind of what I've got here is about what I've got here. That's kind of all I could find on them. They've got a very similar product in a lot of ways, and we'll have a look through that and have a look, see, and you guys can be like, oh, all right, I like this, I didn't like that, right? But let's have a look, and we're gonna see what's going on. I think they've said, looking at what their documentation is, they're aimed at SMEs, so small, medium-sized enterprises. I don't know if they've got a paid tier at the moment. I don't know what their plans are for it. But again, it's embedded within Power BI. What I could see at the minute, it's definitely capable. Right? The two, between PAFnow and Process.Science, there are some differences, I'll be honest. And I think from what I could tell, it's going to come down probably to your opinion and your personal like as to whether you prefer PAFnow or whether you prefer Process.Science. So, for you and for me as a customer, like, kind of win-win. That's brilliant. You got these great tools available for free in a platform that you can really point and click at any part of your business. And then suddenly you're actually able to get insights across your whole landscape of your business and pull those together into some kind of a proper path to success. So jobs are good as far as I'm concerned. So tell you what, let's get rid of me mug, and we can go on, we can crack into Power BI and have a look, see what's going on with these, yeah? All right, so here we are over in Power BI. Let's have a look at this. What I've done, I'll take you through how this is all built. We've written some KPIs in here. Put a KPI in based on the time taken for the loans to happen. So we can actually start to see at a staffing level what's happening. So user 10, this is me loan approvers or whatever it is, loan approver 10, approved nearly 15 million in loans, but it seems to be taking a bit longer than normal. So if we right click on that down here, right click, go to the user summary page, we'll actually then see what's going on with him or her, how are they doing. And we'll see there 839 loans. They've taken about 101% of the average time to deliver to get that stuff in, for their loans to be approved. So it kind of gives us a pretty clear impression of what's going on. And we're going to then take it to the next step, because we can then say, well, overall here, it's red. So we could actually drill in at a month level and go into either the PAFnow version or the Process.Science version. Right? We could also do that at a particular type level. So we could come all the way down to here. So if we click on here, see, it tells us there's only two motorcycle loans in June 2016. Let's scan through, look at it from the PAFnow perspective. And you can see we've put this in. So we've actually put a nice text aggregation in to show us duration for these things. And we can see the path that it's taken using the PAFnow visual. And this should be familiar to you by now. So let's come out of there. And then if we do the same, so it's a 2016 motorcycles, let's go and have a look at that in Process.Science. So we're doing exactly the same thing. And you can see the tools, they're similar. The main thing is the information on these is a bit different. So you have to hover over it to really get an indication of frequency, so actually how many, but it gives, I think, a nicer look in terms of duration, like 5 days. It's kind of easy to understand. 5 days, I can get my head around that. Whereas I think with PAFnow at times, it can be a little bit less intuitive, should we say, for those bits. Still, you can clearly see what's happening. So we can see 6 days is where we've got this gap about incomplete files before it was accepted. So something's here. It's definitely an issue. Both of them went down this path though. So it took an average duration of 6 days. So there's definitely something there that we'd probably want to look at if we're doing a process review and say, right, what causes this to happen? Now, this is something that's going to rely on a third party, because presumably you're going to have to accept something. So that might be an area that you just have to accept. That might be a reality of your process. Additionally, you've got here where it's taken 5 days. This might be something that you really want to look at. So between completion and validation shouldn't take 5 days, surely. That should be something you want to be really getting slick at. Again, just one process went through that. But you can kind of get the picture. You can really start to understand what's going on within our environment. Where's the pain points within our process? And this process looks pretty good, although we can see there are some definite issues that would need to be looked at going forward. So we've got this summary built, works very well with this table. So as I say, we can go look at it from a whole month perspective even. Scan in, have a look, see, and actually start to really see what's going on. The main thing with these process maps is, they're big things. Because of the way that they end up being spread around and stretched out, there's definitely challenges that you're going to face with them. The nice thing is both of them work the same way. So we can look at this and say, oh, this £50,000 or dollar loan here to take 2,000 hours, nearly 2,500 hours. What's happened with it? So we can click on that. And again, this is one of those, the strength of it being in Power BI, it gives me the process map for that specific entity. So I can go through and in a couple of clicks, really start to analyze what's going on across my whole business. And that, this just wasn't possible without putting it in Power BI. Having that recursive environment, that recursive capability to actually be able to go back and forth and see and reassess and reevaluate without having to take an extract, put it into a new system, look at the results, go back, reference what application 1145517747 actually happened with it, and then look at it in a different tool. I hope you can see, this is where the power really comes. This is where the rubber meets the road with this stuff. Like, so I can see, no big surprise, it's gone and failed. Now, we've got a 2-month gap here, so something's happened. We can see it's gone through some loops here, and you could really start to pull and piece together what's happened on any particular case. If you think as well, if somebody was complaining, oh, this is terrible, we could easily pull up and look and see what happened. And depending on what you put in here and how you build these, you can really start to get to that audit trail and understanding what's happened, how it's happened. And it's a quite friendly graphic interface to really see and show you what's happened. So let's come back. Let's see what that looks like in PAFnow, just, so we're all being fair and everything. And where was it? It was 2000 out. There we go. So we can see, again, we've got very clear exactly the same thing that's going on. We can see very clearly what's happened. I hope you can see from here the difference I was talking about. So 2 months was what I said in the other one. We've got a days, hours, minutes. It's not bad. It's not a problem. I think this highlights in my mind more clearly the pain points that you have just with it being red, and I haven't been able to figure out all that in the other platform. But, out the box kind of PAFnow seems a little bit easier to do that with. But both tools, I think, are very capable. So anyway, right, nearly 15 minutes. Let's definitely crack on and get in and do a proper demo as to how we built all this. Cracking. Harry, so I want to show you this first. So I've gone back to my original loans file here. Okay, and I want to go through and I'll write the KPIs in front of you so you see how that happened. First thing I wanted to show you, though, was when you come back, and this is one of the things that will happen to you, it happens to everyone, doesn't it? Where do we archive where Power BI reports, is what someone said to us. Where do we put my PBIX files? The more I've gone through and the more I've looked at with large enterprises, right, I would say definitely back up your PBIX files, put them somewhere, make sure that they are there. But if it comes to it's been 6 to 9 months and we've got to do some work on it, 9 times out of 10, I would recommend that you actually go back into the Power BI platform, click on the 3 dots and download the PBIX file from there, because that's the version that's in use, isn't it? Right? I've seen it happen too many times where people have actually edited Power BI files, PBIX files in situ in the service because it was a minor tweak. And for all you can't rewrite measures and you can't do that kind of work in it, there's a lot you can do in the process, in the service, that allows you to really mess up if somebody then goes and pulls a PBIX file out of archive and does the work on that. So if it's a case, it's been a while, I've not been the only one working on it, I need to validate what's been done, download the PBIX file. So we'll do that now. Hit download the PBIX file. See, it's going to download it. Right. This works for ones I call the primary PBIX files, which are the ones that got the full models. It also works for your secondary ones, so the ones that are connected to a Power BI model in the service, right? Which is, that's when you really start to leverage the value, where you've got Power BI reports feeding from Power BI reports. So here we go. It's downloaded. Let us open the file, and that's all it takes. Right? So we'll crack on, drop into that file, and let's get on with it. All right, so we've got our file open. First thing we need to do is let's pull in that Process.Science visual, so you know how to get that. So again, more visuals, get more visuals, let it load up, and then we'll look for Process.Science. It's dead difficult, this, isn't it? Process.Science data mining. Let us add that. And there's our visual. No big deal, was it? So now we've got our visual added. Next thing we're going to do is duplicate the activity page. So all I'm going to do is right click on that and hit duplicate. And then I'm just going to rename that Process Science. I tell you what, how about we rename activity PAFnow? So I got me two tabs for the drill through, all set up, no big deal. It was going to the Process Science one. And if you remember, this is still using the PAFnow visual. See there, that's the one that's highlighted. It's dead quick, dead easy. All you need to do is hit that, swap it over to the Process Science one. In this case, you see, it's put the stuff in the wrong point. So I need to rejig all these. That's not a problem, is it? It's not going to let me do it that way, is it? It's going to let me drop them in from here. Case ID. Oh, come on. Activity, that's done it. And timestamp. So we'll start to see what's happened. Now, just to keep the two aligned, and personally, my view as well, I'm going to put this top to bottom. Right, I just prefer a top to bottom view. We can bring it simpler. We can make it, with all the variants across it. See everything. Right. See, it's very responsive, quick, simple. It works. We can see we've got the frequency in there. Whereas what we really want to understand, process settings, is the average duration. Right. That's the point, isn't it? But you can do it. You can change those. Average duration, though, is what we're doing for the point of this. So I've got that. I've now got those two built. Next thing I need to do is let's start looking at how we put in that KPI. Yeah. So in order to determine average duration, there's a few things we could do, right? You could actually write some pretty complicated DAX, yeah, to figure out the start and the end time. It's not necessarily going to be overly complicated, but it is going to be slow. So what you probably want to do, and this is one of the things that I keep coming back to, isn't it? Get your model right and everything will work much simpler. Yeah. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the offers that we've got. And then from the offers, we're going to find what date time did the process start? So what's our first record for it? And what's our last record for it? Yeah. So I think if we do that, then it goes through and we've got that total duration. Now, there's lots of arguments we could have on this. There's lots of things you could do and you could refine your processing. But I'll show you the core piece we do. And then service improvements or improvement activities would be used to kind of narrow that down and maybe help tweak that line. So let's have a look, see that was gone in here. First off, we've got to go through, transform the data. Hit transform, load up here. If you remember, we've got our foundation table, haven't we? Which gives us a really good baseline for where we're going to start. Right? What we're looking at is what offers. And what we're going to do is we're going to merge a query into here. So into the offers, we're going to take the case ID and we're going to merge it into the loan applications. So we're going to merge that into it. Right? You're going to go, why are you doing that, you idiot, man? That's mental. That's never going to work. Come here, we've got our table. And you see we've got like this little expand icon. So we'll expand that, right? And the thing that often people didn't realize is you've got two options here. You can expand it in terms of let's have a look at what's there, and that would add lots of extra rows to it, right? Or we can aggregate. Now, aggregate's what we want to do, isn't it? So I'm going to untick that, right? And what we're looking for is the start time stamp, and then the little arrow next to it. And what we really want is the min and the max, isn't it? So go away, bring back the minimum and the maximum for that, right? And we can see we then have two additional columns, min timestamp, max timestamp. And let's set both of those to be date times, right? Date time. Let's let it have a think about it, and then date time. So I've now got me two date time values. So what date time it started at and what date time it finished at. Okay, or the last process step that we've got. So the next thing we need to do, dead simple, isn't it? Like, let's add a column, add a custom column, and let's basically just call this duration. Duration. And this is going to be maximum minus minimum. Again, this is rocket science, this, like, isn't it? So now I've got a duration column. And that was take those two. I'm going to remove them two because we didn't need the min and max anymore. And now we've got a duration column. From your duration column, it's dead simple. We need to tell it it's a duration, obviously. So we're going to pick it's a duration. And then the last thing we need to do is let's change this, because at the moment it's kind of like days, hours, minutes, seconds. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we can transform it. And we're going to transform that column into a duration, and we want the total seconds. So now we're just going to have the total seconds count for that. And then that's all we need, isn't it? Give us a total seconds count. We can then use that for anything we need. So from there, let's go to home, close and apply. And we've updated our model to give a duration. Now, the nice thing of this is, if you remember, if you do all this, you're front loading your data, aren't you? Because the model build is now going to be where that's processed. So we've now got an offer, which is the point we're using as the main kind of header row, as it were. And that's going to have this offer took this many seconds to happen, right? Which is what you want. This is the duration of that offer. So from there, we now need to start adding our measures. And we've got a few measures that we need to add. So let's start, right? And the first one we're going to add is this average duration. So as you can see, it's just average duration. There's nothing complicated about it, which makes it a really simple aggregation to put in. Yeah. And with it being that simple and that clear, it's just easy, isn't it? And the next thing we need to do is to use a calculate, right? And that calculate is going to give us the all measure, the all version of it. Yeah. So in this case, give me the average duration, but for all offers. So if you think about it, the original measure, the average duration, is going to be based on any contextual information that's provided. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? So if we're coming through here, so if we bring in here, and let's bring in the two measures that we've got, let us expand that out. That was making a combo chart. Eh? I'm making it a combo chart just because it'll make much more sense if we've got the line values as the all, right? And then let's bring in the lone goals. You can see, well, all is just a line, yeah? So that's just going to be a straight line across. And we can then see, in terms of what average seconds, what actually happens, what takes the longest. So we've got debt restructuring takes the longest, which that's kind of not unexpected, is it? And equally, equity release, remaining home debt, something like that, kind of the expected ones take longer. So we've got that works really well, right? And because we've got them two, now what we're going to do is actually work out a percentage. So what's the average duration percentage is kind of what that is. And this duration percentage is what we're going to use as our KPI. Okay. So here we go. Let's put the duration percentage in there. There we go. Okay. And we can see it drops down as it goes through. Yeah. And we'll set that up to be a percentage, won't we, as well? Make that percentage. Okay. So that works. We've got the core components built for a KPI. So how do we now put in a KPI? So let us delete that. Let us delete that tab that we created. right? The KPIs are in the external tools area. So we're going to go through into Tabular Editor. Okay, and then from Tabular Editor, let's bring that full screen. Can I zoom in on these? Under your tables and under offers, we can see we've got our duration percentage there. We'll zoom in a bit now so we can see that. So from here, if I right click on it, choose to create a new KPI. So I'm now saying this is going to be a KPI. And what you can see is the KPI options are now all here. So I've got the capability of putting in status information, target information, and trend information, right? For the sake of this, for the way it's written, because we haven't put in a date table for it, we're just going to have status and target. But we can use those, we can move on from it, yeah? Or we can start from there. So that would start by picking a target expression. So in this case, it's just going to be 1. So we've got the target expression of 1 and the status expression. Now this is one that can be a little bit difficult. If you think about the status or the target of being 1, that's because 1% is of course 1. So our status, what we're saying, and I've put in this case, I've just put in a little bit of a switch statement for it. So if it's less than 95%, minus 1. If it's more than 105%, put it as 1, otherwise 0, right? So we've kind of got a nice status set there. Okay, I'm going to hit OK on that. And then what you see here is we've got the option of putting in a status graphic. So what's the graphic that we want to see for our status? And there's quite a lot in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick traffic light single, right? It's my preferred one. Okay. Then from here, we're going to hit file, hit file, not undo, and save. Okay. And then we can come back over to a Power BI file. Here. And you can see from here, suddenly duration has got a KPI icon set. So that was bringing in the status into that. And you can see duration status, and we've got whether it's a positive or a negative, right? So that's how you do it, yeah? So I've showed you how we built end files and how we pulled it all together, yeah? Don't worry if it didn't make sense or if you're looking going, how's he really done all that, right? The key thing here, if you really need support, assistance, anything, please comment down below. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Yeah, get in touch. Let us know that you're struggling or if there's problems that you've got. All right. Right now, we're figuring out what we need to do. And I think we are moving forward. We're making a lot of progress very quickly. This is all going to be available. This is the kind of content that's going to be in courses that are available to people. The courses that we do, so Geordie Consultant will be a paid layer. So yeah, Geordie Consultant, we can do these courses for you till the cows come home. Geordie Intelligence, pretty sure the way we're going to do a lot of these is as webinars. If we do the webinars, what it's likely to be is free to access the webinars. They'll be free, but you won't be able to ask questions. Members there, where you'll be able to ask the questions. So kind of it's up to you to decide what you want to do, but I'm committed to making sure you can figure out what's going on. And honestly, nothing that any of you are going to say is going to surprise me in terms of what I've heard and the way I've taught this or what's happening. So feel free, reach out to her, tell her your problems. You know, come on, tell your Uncle Ross, I'm a nice, smiley, cheerful chappy, yeah? Tell us what's going on, right? And we'll help. This is a lot of content that's going through, and I'm conscious this video is extending and extending and extending, which is why I'm kind of going, right? Takeaways, big takeaway for you here, right? Is you can use the platform, you can use the tools to really bring through good, solid KPIs. Yeah. We can go in, we can understand what is happening within our business. How can we prevent something from happening? Right? KPIs in their own right are just telling you we've met a target, we've not met a target. They're not telling you what's been happening. Process mining will tell you what's been happening. And then with process mining and KPIs, suddenly you're starting to turn a corner. Suddenly your business is becoming data driven. Suddenly you're becoming a data culture. It's like, oh, brave new world, isn't it? So don't forget, stay in touch. Let us know what's going on, right? Dataset 8, going to be another cracker, I'm sure, right? We're going to have some real fun. DAX, more DAX, more DAX. It'll be brilliant. So anyway, stay home. Take care of yourselves there. You want to make sure that you're all looking, I can't afford to lose any of you. So, stay healthy, stay safe. Cheers.